Our first reading in the Gospel today gives us kind of a reflection on what are the consequences of our views of life, the meaning of life, who we are. Is there all to life just in this world? These are some of the most important questions that today many people don't even ask. They don't go there. Well, it's kind of complicated. All I care about is this now, present moment. And yet, many people also accuse the church of not being scientific, being superstitious. And yet the church does provide answers, or at least it looks into these questions and presents to us what they believe is the right answers to these questions. The first reading, remember, this is written to people who believe in God, but they did not believe in life after death. To them, he answered the question, what's life all about? It was all about this world. And the author of that book, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, begins to question, if all there is to life in this world, then what's the meaning of life? People work hard, they, gain money, possessions, they have maybe a good life, and then one day they will die. And that's the end. What about those maybe don't have the opportunities to accumulate wealth or to live a good life? Is their life all in vain? It has no meaning, no purpose, because maybe they never had a good day in their life. They never lived a happy life. What about the ones who die young? What about those who leave their possessions to their children, and their children, kind of waste those possessions? And that's why the writer says it's all vain, it's all vanity, it's all like vapor. It's there, but then after a second, it disappears. Think about it. What would be the meaning of such a life? There is no meaning to it. It's a life of struggle, of toil. Nobody's going to live happily ever after in this world. Even rich people, powerful people, they have their challenges, they have their struggles, as we all know. Then in the Gospel, Jesus presents to us the other view. What if there is life after death? What if God really at one point will fulfill all our desires to live happily ever after? Wouldn't that make our life more meaningful in this world? Especially in this life, the way we live our lives will determine what kind of life we're going to have after death. Then what we do in this world becomes meaningful. It has a purpose. Hopefully, the purpose is to lead us to that eternal life with God. It's not about just possessions. It's not about working hard and having all the good things of life. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But one day, every person, everyone who really lives their lives trying to grow rich in what matters to God, will find that happiness for all eternity. But then we might look at it and say, well, how do we know this? How do we know there is life after death? That's not scientific. We have no proof. But don't we have a proof? What about Jesus? Did he rise from the dead or did he not? If we say he rose from the dead, then there is proof that there is life after death. Because the same Jesus who said he will die and rise from the dead, he also promised us that we will share in that resurrection, as we heard in the second reading. When he reappears in glory, we too will appear in our glory, the glory of eternal life. But you might say, well, just because it's written in a book, that doesn't mean it's true. Well, that's true. But what about those Christians, his disciples, who believed in that because they saw him? What about them who gave their life because they believed it's true, because it was true? Why would they lie if it wasn't true? Who would make that up? He didn't gain anything. They didn't gain anything from it. But they got was tortured, being thrown in jail, thrown to the lions, dying for that truth. And if it's all a lie, that doesn't make sense. They didn't get rich or powerful. They didn't accumulate possessions. But they gave everything they had for the sake of that truth. That's more scientific to me than saying, well, I don't know what happens after death. I don't worry about it. Science is looking at the facts, making observations, reflections, and reaching conclusions, deductions. Which life you would want to believe in, even if we don't have any proof? The life that doesn't lead us anywhere, or the life that promises us eternal life, eternal happiness? What's the logical choice? And yet we have more proof about the life that Jesus proclaims than the other understanding. Well, we don't know. Just because we don't know, that doesn't mean things do not exist, that things are not there. For a long time, people did not know about gravity, but yet gravity was always there. We need to ask those questions to ourselves, what we believe. Because we should be living our lives depending on the answers of these questions. What do you want to pass on to your children or grandchildren? What kind of understanding? What kind of answers to these questions? How we can begin to go deeper in asking those questions that have a big impact on who we are and what we can become. That's what our readings today call us to. They don't just give us the answers, but they challenge us to begin to ask the questions for ourselves, to search for the truth. And they share with us the truth that people believed for thousands of years. If all of life is about this world, then yes, we should just go and get as much as we can of this world. Who cares about being kind and forgiving and compassionate? That doesn't get us anywhere. But these are the things that matter to God. These are the things that Jesus is telling us, that's what we should be rich in. We're not going to take anything with us when we die. The only thing we can take is who we are. Our values, how we lived our lives. That's what will come with us. What kind of people we were. And if we chose to be people of love in this world, then the God of love will welcome us into His kingdom for all eternity. But if we choose not to live our lives according to His commandment of love, then we already made a choice. We don't want to be with the God of love. We already made our choice. Jesus says, I didn't come to be your judge. My role is not who should get what and how much money you should have, or if your brother is not really giving you what you should have. I came to tell you you should forgive him. Don't worry about the possessions. Store yourself treasures that will take you to heaven. Forgive your brother. Be compassionate. Trust in God. What's more important for possessions is relationships. The first example with the young man, obviously he's putting possessions ahead of his relationship with his brother. With the man with the harvest, he's putting out his possessions ahead of his relationship with God. He thinks he doesn't need God now. He has everything he wants. I'm going to live, eat, drink, and be married. Well, that didn't last too long. Relationships, because love is a relationship. Whether it's our love for God or our love for our neighbor. That's a simple truth that God continues to remind us of throughout His relationship with his people throughout his history. And Jesus reminds us again, this is the greatest commandment. Love God and your neighbor as yourself. Don't love things more than people. That's what's presented to us today. For us to reflect on, to consider, to come up with our own answers to these questions. What do we believe in? And if this is what we believe in, are we living our lives in a way to show what we